Well, it shouldn't take much to knock this one off about ceremony 56, because it's pretty same as ceremony 55, really. Same energies were present, according to Maestro. I spoke to him yesterday after my ceremony. Um, on Spoke to him on Tuesday. So on Thursday, yesterday. Today is Friday. It's the 15th of September. So it's my last one of this session, and so I've been here solidly on and off for 4 months, 5 weeks in this last spell with a 1 week gap. So a continuous 3 weeks of just this last section. No dietas though, except for the first week of the three with Maestro Urias, who did the Mapacho and what was it? Yeah, Pinon Colorado.
Okay.
So basically, last ceremony was just about the same fucking irritability and anger demons as Jamie had too, because of what we had in the first one with the external vocalizations. For me, was a lot of just movement around the door because the facilitators were lying down there, and then the odd person got up. But we're talking like second half of the ceremony. I was expecting a second cut, which I'm kind of glad I didn't do it. We were all expecting a strong one because Maestro had said that it would be stronger, but in actual fact, it was really not as strong as Monday, as everyone's first one for the Monday. So that was a surprise, but it probably means that there might be a stronger one. But I think it'll be pleasant because it's everyone's last night. So my interpretation of the group energy was all good, but it's Maestro was tired when he left. He shook my hand on the way out. When I was sat up, I felt fine. I could walk back pretty much on my own, but Lady walked back with me. Wasn't wobbly at all, and it was the least strong trip sensation for a long time back in the room. So I felt absolutely fine. It was really difficult to throw anything up, and this seems to be the benefit of having no lunch. Just a banana and a smoothie, something like that. Not eating the rice or anything else, or the salad for the last three, is it? Anyway, so that does make a difference. If you can do without lunch, it seems to pay dividends, not in just allowing the ayahuasca to go through deeper into your digestive system, but for not having diarrhea after the ceremony and finding it hard to throw up, but also just being able to get over the trippy part and getting to sleep earlier. So got to sleep pretty well. So it was pretty benign ceremony really, but it did have that frustrations aspect to it. I did go quite strong at some points, and that was the interesting part, that Maestro did it more in a Shipibo sort of way, which was in that tradition, like it was at the temple where he was when I was there. As I've said before, I recognised him, and I recognise his style as well now. I think um, because we all went up one by one to starting with each one person, and we got given our drinks um, instead of having to sort of do the rounds really, or rather have them brought to us by the facilitators. We went up one by one onto our knees and drank the cup. I think I probably had about 3/4 of a small cup, expecting a second cup. We didn't get offered one just because the way the ceremony just continued doing Icaros right the way through with just a few little gaps, but there was never a point where a second cup was offered. And I'm wondering whether he thought he'd given everyone a bit more, or whether because of the energies that he's feeling with this particular group, he didn't offer it. So that was a surprise. And so when he came out and shook my hand, I asked him if he was okay, and he just said, "Cansado, tired, very tired." The energies were strong. When I spoke to him the next day, um, one of the client's visions from Monday involved this feather bird, but it turned out to be more specific. It was actually a heron, and apparently that's not a good sign for whatever reason, but it's something to do with a relationship breakup, which obviously was given to me as sort of privileged knowledge, just because of my relationship with Maestro. Although that particular client hadn't spoken anything about his issues, but he did say to me that he thought that he was the one. So it's funny how he got that insight. He thought he was the one just feeling like he was giving off energy that was disturbing other people. But I said, from my perspective, nobody in the group is, sort of energetic in a detrimental way. But he said about me, he did feel like I on the first night, and just being in the Maloka, that I was like a mountain or a wall of protective energy for him. So that was interesting. So again, it's weird how people's perceptions of the energies in the room can work out compared to a shaman. Oh yeah, and there was one other thing that was really interesting was in the second half of the ceremony, despite there being no second cup offered, a bit later on, in that cleaning phase where everyone's had the last sort of major round of Icaros and you're being baked in the silence, there's a strange experience of hearing Maestro spit into his bucket and hearing it sizzle, like as if the spit was hot, and it just like it burnt when it hit the water in the bottom of his bucket. And first time you're like thinking that was interesting, but maybe he dropped some Mapacho. But then I thought, well, no, because he was smoking his pipe, so he wasn't smoking a cigarette to be able to drop it in the bucket. You wouldn't be spitting it exactly the same time you drop it in there. And then a few minutes later, he spat again, and it's like psst, as it hit the water. It's like really bizarre, as if like the energy is taken out. And sometimes that's how they get rid of that energy, is spitting into the bucket. So that was a bit weird and quite interesting. But the main problem for me was going through another irritability phase. I did get quite high at one point, feeling very transcendental, very peaceful. And the other major thing was Mama didn't speak to me again. Second ceremony since Monday. Two ceremonies on the trot, didn't say a word. So that was interesting, but I'm kind of happy with that because there's so much peace. When I came back, there's this seemingly change in my monkey chatter brain, which obviously gets worse when you're in a conversation with Mama because it's so backwards and forwards all the time. But her leaving me alone has enabled me to be able to go into this sort of higher realm without conversing with anybody, and it's just peace. And getting back to the bedroom, even tripping, just lying down and just not having hardly any chatter at times. It's just like your brain stops producing thoughts. So it's really interesting and really peaceful to actually, you think, wow, that must be what people can get to when they're like a high level of meditation or something. So that's really interesting too. So on the whole, it was about an hour of suffering, like almost fucking really pissed off and angry because Christian was by the door and someone was flapping a sheet like they were cooling themselves off, and there's that irritability factor. And then someone else was having had a really big purge, but then before that, they're breathing. They've got this kind of, well, it's not a snoring, but it's a like a, I don't know, a light kind of raspy breathing as they're breathing. It's a growly. It's like the equivalent of a snore, but in your chest, if that makes any sense. And again, focusing on that, it's like, for fuck's sake, please shut up, because you've dropped down into that halfway space where you're not high enough to be completely preoccupied with your own journey, and then when you drop back down and you're half higher and half normal, between maximum peaks, really fucking annoying. It's like, the fucking frustration demon. And I see them as demons because I think they're so deeply intertwined with your being, with that kind of level of trauma-based stuff that's manifesting. Same for Jamie too. He's got the same sort of thing where you just fucking shut up, mate, for fuck's sake. And then But anyway, so there wasn't, other than that, it wasn't really particularly strong visions. There was a strong sense of being away at times. And visions kind of, as Maestro did the rounds, he did Icaros for in front of each person in the sort of Shipibo style. Very strong first one for one particular person who was first in the group as it went round the circle with me last. Jamie was next to me, and his Icaro I was perceiving, again, not as strong as that amazing one where Maestro takes the form of an entity. Not as strong as that one, but a couple of times in the last ceremony, there was that moments where it's almost like a big flower, four-petaled flower, where he moves his voice because he's moving a bit, but it's much more, seems like his voice goes to here and then over to here and then down to here and down to here as he's moving his head, and the voice projection is sometimes low, and it's really powerful. And at one point he's like almost the center of a flower kind of shape, but then in the middle, like a dragon's head, it appears where he would be singing. So maybe that's why Ivan calls him the dragon too. And I felt that one quite strongly. That was for Jamie, but he was next to me, and I felt it strongly. So, and with the very first one and the person opposite, the others not really so much. But obviously, you still get the benefit of it in the room. You get the benefit of everyone's Icaros, but they're called seemingly specifically, I imagine, for what Maestro is seeing in that particular type of person's baggage or negative energy, and calls an appropriate plant spirit that may give you a particular vision of an entity sometimes. But it wasn't as strong as like that last week's one where it was like, whoa, whatever he changed into in that Icaro was super powerful. But I saw him a couple of times change into, as if he was still just sat on the floor with his legs crossed instead of standing up, like doing this incredible dance and turning into this weird creature. But still, the petals one, when he did Jamie's next to me, the dragony kind of form image for me in my vision. And then mine was just some other kind of creature that was just undescribable, but reasonably soft, just like a soft cleaning kind of entity, whatever. So that was interesting, but that's really all it was. So tonight's really more the biggie, because I think Maestro's kind of really knows what he's dealing with now, and so expect it to be strong, but still not incapacitating, because we'll have to leave tomorrow. So I've booked my hotel. So I think it's the same one that Helena had, Patikai or whatever it's called, Pataikai or something, whatever. It's only about 10 minutes from the port. So I'll be able to get from there. It's about probably another 10 minutes into Plaza de Armas, Cafe Amazon Dawn. So I'll probably have a meal there at lunchtime tomorrow when we get back, and then that'll probably be enough, because my stomach's pretty well shrunk now. Don't need much food at all. But sometimes still, though, in ceremony where for the 2 hours for me, not coming up for so long, still sitting there, when you get the stomach starts rumbling or something, you get the hunger pangs, and you start to think, oh, fuck, wow, I got merged. Just visualizing this a big steak and chips and pepper sauce or some really nice meal. But you've got to kind of fight that after, really ideally a week after you've been in especially 2 weeks, and I've been through 3 weeks solid here. So probably be sad tomorrow. It's a bit low today thinking about it, and about the travel, and 3 months on my own traveling gets really boring. But I've got to try and see the positive side and how lucky I am, etc. And just I'm going to go to the coast south of Lima, have some time on the beach. Hopefully it'll be sunny, swim in the sea again, and just try and get to Chile before the visa runs out. Take that train journey across the border and go from there. But so anyway, I'll do the last one, which will be the last video for this retreat section, before I hopefully can come back in the new year in January, early January or something, and then continue on if something else doesn't happen. Who knows? And of course, the main reason for that is if COVID continues to kick off, and if they start locking people down or affecting travel, I don't want to be far from Peru, so I can get back. Hopefully, at some point, if it does go that far with all the bollocks that's being put out on, the internet and whatnot about the Canadian variant or whatever the fuck bullshit load of lying nonsense it is. Masks and whatever, so we'll see. But so basically that's it. So last one tonight in about 3 hours time. It's knocking, I don't know, 4:30, so 3.5 hours or something before the ceremony, and finish on ceremony 57. So it will have to do, because they're closing for a month. But they are getting this. I think I said this before. We're getting the female shamana, and they're going to do a group cleansing because of the energies that even the facilitators pick up. Makes getting tired. So it's about 2 weeks away. I'd like to have been here and done it, but at the end of the day, it's a retreat sort of staff affair, and it'll be a bonding, especially with Karen, because she hasn't done it before, doesn't have done ayahuasca. Oh yeah, we had rapé yesterday. That was interesting. I wasn't expecting. I didn't plan on doing it, because I had breakfast, and then I was walking past the Maloka, and Christian said, "Oh, coming in," and they had Gabe here doing the rapé, and Cambo for some people. Gino had 2 dots on his back to help with backache, and then of course I'd had breakfast, not planning on doing it, and then I thought, fuck, I should have done it to see, because although my back's improved immensely, I don't have pain or anything, but carrying the rucksack sometimes it aches a little bit. But I was, because Gino said that Lady did it last week, I think, or last time he came, the Cambo guy, and because she's got a problem with the lower back vertebrae, and it's really fixed her really well. So it's really interesting to see that effect on bones and joints. And of course, so then they were saying, "Oh, do you want to do some Cambo?" And I thought, fuck. I said, "Oh, I've just had breakfast, though. I don't want to vomit it all back up." So I did. I really did consider it. But Gabe said, "Oh, do you want some rapé?" And he had his big long pipe. So I bought some off him this morning, because it's their Nunu, the Matses tribe rapé. So it's not from Brazil; it's from the actual Matses, and it's a bit more granular than mine. And of course, because I do it every day, it's not such a big deal. But obviously, with his long pipe, and he loaded it, it blew, wow, really powerful, right to the back of the sinuses. And poor Karen was already there, suffering from one she'd already done, and then she went off and had to vomit in the toilet. I've never seen that, or heard of that with rapé. But someone who's probably never done any plant medicines at all. So I said to her, a little tip: lie on your side, each side. Don't lie on your back, because it will all run down the back of your neck, and then it's quite bitter and horrible. And then, but she was all sweaty and everything, as if she'd done Cambo, but she hadn't. She'd just done, I don't know how many she did. I only did the 2 up each nostril, and that was enough. But I just sat there and just like, But it was really burn. Quite a burn. But I'm, used to it. And like I just said, they're all smiling. Wow, I've done it like a champ. I just said, ayahuasca training, because what's rapé compared to fucking Cambo, and then Cambo compared to ayahuasca? There's just there's no comparison between the levels of what the sort of the unpleasant sides of it are. So for me, it was but it was a nice hit, and it felt really nice and floaty, and yeah, really good. So anyway, that's basically it. So the hotel is supposed to have Wi-Fi, but I'll have to get money on my phone anyway at some point. So I'll do probably the video for my final ceremony for possibly 3 months, tomorrow or the weekend, whenever, depending on what happens. So looking forward to it tonight. Everyone's really looking forward to this one. And they're kind of expecting it to be a bit stronger. So Maestro's probably hinted at it again, because I don't think he's been able to give them the strong one that he wanted to on Wednesday, just because he's been tired, because this group for some reason has really been difficult for him. with whatever energies are going on. So anyway, so we'll see tonight what happens. Leave it at that.